You have been watching. You remember the peaks and the endings. You have durationed, neglected the rest. That line was not a teaser. It was the test result. This series has been about the way human judgment works, but it has also been a demonstration of that judgment. You remember the traps, the bat and the ball, the gorilla, Linda, the judges, the cold hand, the scratch at the end of the symphony. You remember the shocks and the reveals because that is what memory keeps. You do not remember the quiet structure between them with the same force. You do not remember every transition, every ordinary minute that made the reveal possible. That is not a failure of attention. That is the remembering self doing its work. So this final episode will not pretend there is one more hidden theory to uncover. There is not. The theories are on the table. System 1 and System 2. Heuristics, framing, anchoring, base rates, loss aversion, overconfidence. The two selves. The final question is practical. If this is how minds work, what should we do about it? Return to the hospital one last time. The doctor made a decision. A patient died. Across this series, we have seen the forces around that decision. She was tired. She was rushed. Her attention was divided. The chart was incomplete in her mind. A colleague sounded confident. One statistic was framed in a way that made one option feel safer. One vivid memory arrived faster than the base rate. Her experience felt relevant, even where the environment did not support reliable intuition. This was not one bias. It was a bad decision environment. That matters. The doctor's mistake was not that she was stupid. It was not that she lacked compassion. It was not that human judgment is worthless. The mistake was predictable because the conditions were bad. A tired doctor was asked to make a high-stakes decision quickly, with incomplete attention, weak prompts, no required second opinion, no forced base rate comparison, and a frame that made one option feel safer than it was. That is the final lesson of the case. When errors are predictable, blame is not enough. Advice is not enough. Awareness is not enough. You change the conditions. For most of the 20th century, many economic models imagined a different kind of person. A rational agent. Later, Richard Toller called this person an econ. The econ has stable preferences. The econ is not fooled by wording. The econ updates beliefs correctly. The econ reads the whole chart. The econ does not procrastinate. The econ does not choose differently because the default changed. Econs are useful in models. Humans live in the world. Humans get tired. Humans avoid effort. Humans are affected by first impressions, defaults, losses, memories, social pressure, and whatever information happens to be easiest to retrieve. That is not an insult. It is a fact. The mistake is building serious systems as if humans were econs. Consider organ donation. In some countries, the form asks people to check a box if they want to become donors. Participation is low. In other countries, the form makes donation the default and asks people to check a box if they do not want to become donors. Participation is much higher. The freedom is not the important difference. People can still say yes. People can still say no. The important difference is the default. The default matters because doing something different takes attention, effort, and a reason strong enough to overcome inertia. Many people do not have a settled preference at the moment the form appears. The architecture supplies one. This is choice architecture. It is not a metaphor. It is the design of the situation in which a decision is made. What is first? What is pre-selected? What is framed as normal? What information is shown? What information is missing? Whether delay is possible? Whether a second person is required? Whether the base rate appears before the story? There is no neutral version of this. Every choice has an architecture. Sometimes it is designed carefully. Sometimes it is inherited. Sometimes it is accidental. Sometimes it is built to help the chooser. Sometimes it is built to exploit the chooser. But it is always there. This is why the answer to human error cannot be only try harder. Trying harder is fragile. It fails exactly when it is needed most. Under stress, under fatigue, under time pressure, System 2 is least available. The person who most needs to slow down is often the person least able to do it alone. So the humane answer is not contempt for judgment. The humane answer is structure. Use checklists. Require second opinions. Show base rates before individual stories. Separate evidence, Vacomphians. Make irreversible choices slower. Use cooling off delays when emotion is high. Use structured interviews instead of unstructured impressions. Use premortems before major plans. Use defaults carefully, because defaults decide more than people admit. Use algorithms where consistency matters more than charisma. None of these tools require humans to become perfect. That is the point. They work because humans are not perfect. They work because attention is limited, memory is selective, confidence is not accuracy, and fatigue changes judgment. A checklist does not make a doctor less human. It protects the patient from the doctor's worst hour. A second opinion does not insult expertise. It protects expertise from isolation. A base rate prompt does not replace judgment. It gives judgment the information it is most likely to ignore. A cooling off delay does not remove freedom. It protects freedom from the temporary state of the person making the choice. Seeing the machinery is not dehumanizing. It is how humans care for one another. That is the part that matters. This series has shown many ways human judgment fails. It would be easy to end there, with a darker conclusion. People are biased. People cannot be trusted. That is not the conclusion. Human judgment is limited. Human judgment is also the only judgment humans have. System 1 is not the villain. It lets you read, speak, recognize faces, hear danger, understand tone, and move through the world without calculating every step. System 2 is not the hero. It is slow, effortful, and often used to defend what System 1 has already decided. The goal is not to destroy one system and crown the other. The goal is to know what kind of mind will be making the decision and design the process accordingly. You will not stop being human. You will still anchor. You will still frame. You will still neglect base rates. You will still trust confidence more than you should. You will still remember peaks and endings and lose much of the duration. The point is not escape. The point is to notice the conditions before they decide for you. Ask the practical questions. Am I tired? Am I rushed? Was the first number I saw allowed to become the anchor? Is this story vivid because it is typical, or only because it is memorable? What usually happens in cases like this? What would I think if the outcome were framed as a loss instead of a gain? Who has permission to challenge me? What part of this decision should not depend on my mood? Those questions will not make you an econ. They may make you a little harder to steer without your consent. And they may help you build conditions under which other people can decide better too. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky did not give the world a flattering picture of the mind. They gave it a useful one. They showed that errors are not random. They have patterns. They appear under specific conditions. They can be studied, predicted, named, and sometimes prevented. That work was not one man's work. It came from a collaboration, two psychologists arguing, testing each other, and building questions sharp enough to expose the mind to itself. Amos Tversky died in 1996. In 2002, Daniel Kahneman received the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences. The prize could not be awarded posthumously. But the work could not be divided. The final lesson is not that humans are foolish. The final lesson is that humans are human. We decide with limited attention, partial memory, unstable frames, social pressure, fatigue, hope, fear, and stories that arrive faster than evidence. So if the decision matters, do not only ask for better people, build better conditions. You cannot escape the architecture, but you can learn to see it. And once you see it, you can change the conditions under which you decide. The Nobel Prize in Economics, 2002, which Amos would have shared.